What's our travel itinerary looking like? First, we're going to look at the body's fundamental blueprint. Then, we'll start mapping the big regions, like the head and torso, then move down to the foundation and limbs. And finally, we'll pull it all together and talk about why this amazing map is so important in the real world.
All right, first up, the blueprint. Before we can even start talking about the outside, we really need to get a handle on the architectural plan. How is the human body actually built from the ground up?
Well, it all comes down to this one key concept: structural hierarchy. It sounds complicated, but it's really just the super logical system for organizing the body, starting with the absolute tiniest building blocks and scaling all the way up to, well, you. Think of it like you're building a house. You start at the chemical level with your raw materials, atoms and molecules. These come together to form your bricks, which is the cellular level. Then you group those bricks together to build walls, and that's the tissue level. Those walls form a room with a specific job, like a kitchen. That's your organ level. All the rooms working together, that makes a functional house, the system level. And finally, you've got the whole shebang, the complete home, the organism level. It is an absolutely incredible journey from a single atom to a whole person.
Okay, now that we've got the blueprint down, our guided tour can officially begin. We're going to start at the very top and work our way down. First stop, the head and torso. The head is, our body's command center, and it is absolutely packed with complex structures and really important landmarks. Let's zero in on a few key reference points.
So let's start with the skull itself. The frontal bone, that's your forehead. The parietal bones form the top and sides, and the occipital bone is way in the back. On the sides, you've got your temporal bones, right where your temples are. And for the face, you can feel your zygomatic bone. That's just your cheekbone. The maxilla is your upper jaw, and the mandible, that's your lower jaw, the one that moves. A few other key spots. The orbit is simply your eye socket, and that bony bump right behind your ear, that's the mastoid process. It's a really key attachment point for some major neck muscles.
Okay, moving down from the head, we get to the neck. The neck is this critical bridge, right? It connects our command center to the rest of the body and houses all these vital pathways.
So in the neck, we find this really unique hyoid bone, which is super important for swallowing. Below that, you've got the 7 cervical vertebrae. You can actually feel the last one, C7. Go ahead and try it. It's that prominent bump at the very base of your neck. It's often used as a starting point for counting the vertebrae. And of course, the most famous landmark here is the thyroid cartilage, which you probably know as the Adam's apple.
Continuing our tour down, we arrive at the thorax, or what we all call the chest. You can really think of this as the protective bony cage for your heart and your lungs. Some pretty important stuff.
The main structures here are the sternum, your breastbone, our 12 pairs of ribs, and the thoracic vertebrae in the back. Now, healthcare pros use these surface landmarks all the time. The suprasternal notch, that little dip at the top of your sternum, is a key reference. Same goes for the sternal angle, also called the angle of Louis, which lines up with the second rib. This is so crucial for things like accurately placing a stethoscope to listen to heart sounds. Just below the chest is the abdomen. Now, for any kind of clinical checkup, it's mapped into 4 simple quadrants: right upper, right lower, and left lower. This grid system is a total game changer for doctors, helping them quickly pinpoint where pain is coming from and figure out which organs might be involved. The abdomen is basically framed by the lower ribs up top and the iliac crust, that's the top ridge of your hip bone, down below. 2 really important surface landmarks here are the umbilicus, your navel, and the linea alba, a fibrous line running right down the midline of your abs. Okay, we've covered the head and the entire trunk. Now let's keep this tour moving and check out the body's powerful foundation and our incredible limbs. So, the pelvis. This is an amazingly strong basin-shaped structure. It acts as the foundation that supports our entire upper body and connects our spine to our legs. It's a powerhouse. The pelvis is formed by several bones that are all fused together: the ilium, ischium, and pubis, plus the sacrum and coccyx at the base of the spine. Some key points you can actually feel are the anterior superior iliac spine, or ASIS. That's the bony point at the very front of your hip. And you are definitely familiar with the ischial tuberosity, even if you don't know it by name. Those are your sitting bones. All right, let's move out to the upper limbs. Our arms give us this phenomenal range of motion, right? They let us interact with the world in a million different ways. So the arm connects to the torso with the clavicle, that's your collarbone, and the scapula, your shoulder blade. The bony tip of your shoulder that you can feel, that's the acromion process. The bone of the upper arm is the humerus. Then in your forearm, you've got two bones, the radius and the ulna. And the pointy part of your elbow? Yep, that has a name, the olecranon process. And finally, we arrive at the lower limbs. These are just marvels of engineering, built for support and movement, carrying our entire body weight all over the place.
The big players down here are the femur, which is the longest bone in your body, right in your thigh. The patella is your kneecap. Below the knee, you've got the tibia and the fibula. And some key surface spots include the greater trochanter, that bony knob on the side of your hip, and the medial and lateral malleolus. You know them as the bony bumps on either side of your ankle.
So, we did it. We've completed our journey from head to toe. But this brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole explainer. Why does reading this map of the body actually matter?
I mean, it might seem like a lot of strange names and locations to remember, right? But this knowledge is so much more than academic trivia. It is incredibly powerful and practical.
This map is absolutely fundamental to modern medicine. It's crucial for any physical exam. A doctor needs